2/3 distance of 16 in my head, but that'll have to wait for probably 10 laps. They'd have to get to that, and 10 laps down, that is, where a race could be called. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's Celestino Vietti there in fifth. Let's go out, we are go in Indonesia. A fantastic start from the middle of that front row. Now Augusto Fernandez, but that's good enough for Jake Dixon down to turn one. Really, it wasn't a great launch, but he just got the power going all the way down, and he's going to go second behind Somkiat Chantra, who's had a good weekend here, the Thai rider. He leads. Sam Lowe's now takes second place from Dixon. There are spots out there, I'm sure of it, as they come through turn two for the very first time. Who's that coming through on the inside? Is that one of the MB bikes? That's a really good start anyway. Up to fourth place for Simone Corsi, who's always aggressive on the early laps, but it's Chantra leading from Lowe's in second place, Dixon in third, and Simone Corsi in fourth spot.
I think it was Vietti trying to go around the outside of Corsi, but that's cost him time. But yes, Simone Corsi on the MB Agusta, superb opening lap for him.
Started in ninth place on the third row. An excellent start from the veteran Roman, who's there on the number 24 bike. Someone runs it off at the back of the field onto the outside of the racetrack there. They will drop positions, but it's Chantra leading from Sam Lowe's in second place, Jake Dixon in third. The Brits will be happy that they've got away well enough and they're here. They're not mired in the pack or anything, and now it's about just starting to assert your rhythm in this race. And don't let Simone Corsi start to attack, because when he sees any kind of opening, Corsi will drive through it. Here comes Vietti on the inside. He knows that he wants to get to the front because he has a similar kind of pace. Oh, and he makes contact with Corsi. That's normally Corsi's job. He won't give this one up, I guarantee it. That's Corsi through and through, isn't it? And he pushes Vietti wide, and he drops back a couple of positions, and that has helped the likes of Lowe's and Dixon, because that's like a can opener opening up for fourth place, and Canet's going to come through up into it. Alberto Arenas now into fifth. What a start to the race, Michael.
I'll tell you what, that is just what the both Brits needed, because for me, Celestino Vietti was the danger man. He had the pace to win this race. Now that little battle with Simone Corsi, he's not used to battling with Simone Corsi. He doesn't realise how hard Simone will give back if you put one on him.
Well, he knows it now.
He does. He'll be looking to pay back his countrymen here, so the young Italian looking to repay that favour.
Somkiat Chantra leads them through, no stranger to these kinds of conditions, from tropical Thailand himself, so he won't be worried about the heat. But it's Sam Lowe's in second, Jake Dixon in third, and on the inside again. I mean, Celestino Vietti is getting an education there, isn't he, from Simone Corsi? As he goes through, he opened up on Albert Arenas, and actually now he's got Arenas between himself and the veteran. So Vietti there in fifth place, the championship leader after a stunning win in the opening round in Qatar. He's now trying to chase down Canet, wide from Albert Arenas though, heading into turn 13, probably Corsi. I wouldn't put it past him at all.
It was. Simone just levered him aside again, of course he did. Yeah, we hear about this all the time, but we don't often get to see it. So Simone Corsi living up to his, what is, it's been the tagline that's stuck with him throughout his career.
I mean, he's the only rider who races with a crowbar down the side of his bike, because he opens up doors everywhere he goes. So there's Jake Dixon just going out of your shot. He's in third spot. It's Chantra who's pushing on the pace. And there is a question as Acosta and Fernandez do battle. Oh, it's a big lunge from Albert Arenas on Fernandez, who's had a poor start to the race. I thought he got away from the line well, Michael, but he's dropped back significantly, back to ninth place. But my question is, I mean, if there are a few laps, sat up by Fernandez, Albert Arenas, my question is, you know, people don't have to pace themselves in the same way for a 16-lap race.
It changes the dynamics of the race completely. So now physically you go all out, all 16 laps. Tyres, you don't worry about saving them up. There's a lot of rain there in sector 2.
There is.
So we're seeing a lot on the dash. These guys will be seeing that on their screens, on their visors. They don't look too tentative just yet, but yeah, it will be concerning. Yeah,
and of course, no flag-to-flag rules in Moto2. So if rain does start to fall, they will stop it and we will get a shortened restart. I'm trying to work out the 2/3 distance of 16 in my head, but that'll have to wait for probably 10 laps. They'd have to get to that, and 10 laps down, that is, where a race could be called. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's Celestino Vietti there in fifth spot at the front. It's fairly steady, but now this is how Sam Lowe's likes to ride a race, doesn't he? Let Chantra do what it is at the start and start to get into your rhythm. And Jake Dixon, he's actually probably not a bad spot to be in, is it? Following Sam with all the experience of how to manage a Moto2 race at the sharp end.
Exactly, settling into this race nicely. Jake just set his personal best on that lap around. Behind, I've seen Celestino Vieri have a huge moment. He's pushing the envelope a little bit, trying to get onto the rear wheel of Aaron Canet, but both Brits well positioned there with Somkiat Chantra in an unusual position, leading from the front.
I like that from Pedro Acosta. He's letting the riders behind him know that he is going to take the long lap loop. It was a nice little touch that from Pedro Acosta, just giving them a warning, but now back on the throttle. He's going to drop right down the field. It's a costly penalty in Moto2, and he found that out in Qatar. Not that he had a long lap loop, but he was pushed deep, and he said, I realise it's not like Moto3. You can't quite pass people in the same way in the Moto2 class.
Yeah, exactly that. It cost you a lot in these early laps. So Augusto Fernandez, he just went backwards in that first lap, and you can't afford to give these guys those gaps because pulling back 1-2 tenths a lap, it's so hard work in Moto2.
That will encourage Dixon. A little twitch from Sam Lowe's bike between turns 10 and 11, but it's Chantra doing all the donkey work here at the front of the field, and the gap did open up by a couple of tenths there. Just saw Sam Lowe's bike get a little bit squirmy underneath it between those two corners. That's the corner that's nearest the sea, so if the rain is coming in from the sea, you look at the dark clouds in the back. I'll tell you what, there'll be people thinking about a flag-to-flag race. Glad they scrubbed in tyres in MotoGP during their warm-up earlier. Jake Dixon is definitely closing on Lowe's here.
He is. You can see that Chantra has actually hit the fastest lap of the race. He's comfortable. Jake maybe feels that he has a bit more pace, so he will look for that move on Sam Lowe's. But I do think Somkiat, in these conditions, the Thai rider, they are so good when spots of rain are in the air. When the rain comes down, they always seem to manage in those conditions better than others.
Well, it's over the years, and coming up through things like underbone racing, that kind of thing, when you're racing all kinds of conditions, monsoon-like conditions we've seen in races in Southeast Asia. The sun breaks through the clouds at that part, but definitely Dixon is closing in on the back of Sam Lowe's now. Sam will be judging this, trying to make his way to the end of this race, trying to judge it, but Jake comes through there. I mean, that's brave, and it's because of this that Sam is being a bit more circumspect, I think.
I think so. We're seeing a lot of raindrops on those camera lenses, and it just looked like, I thought Jake's bike was turning better, but perhaps...
Oh, Jake's gone down! Jake's crashed out, I don't believe it! From second place! Oh no, with spots of rain falling, get back on your bike! Get back on it, because this race could be called, and you want to make sure you bring it home. And if there is a red flag, and it is stopped, and you want to get on it and get restarted, but that's disastrous from Jake Dixon. He's on the correct line. It's not like he's on a dirty part of the track. That's where we saw Lowe's have the moment, Michael, a lap ago.
Yeah, it's difficult to say if the rain is affecting it. Normally in these temperatures, when the tarmac's so hot, it just evaporates immediately, but it is a worry. And another crash.
Someone else gone down
on Corsi.
Yeah, and of course gone down. Again, is that turn 10 for him? It looks to me like there's more rain falling. Are we going to get a red flag too? Because there's lots of chopping and changing of positions at the front. Chantra now leads Canet by 1.5 seconds. I've got to think, Michael, the lap times have dropped by a second and a half. It's all right in this part of the track. It's when we get closer to the sea that there's clearly problems out there. How long can they let this go?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. We haven't seen any hands up from the riders yet, so obviously they're not too concerned, but they're just being a little bit tentative. This part of the track, definitely, that's where we're seeing the most rain. So through these fast changes of direction, through 7, 8, 9, and then obviously that turn 10, which did catch out Jake Dixon.
Just where you don't want it, of course. MotoGP race distance has been reduced to 3/4, so we'll have a 20-lap MotoGP race coming up, and that's because of concerns about the heat building here at the circuit. I mean, it's not as hot as it could have been. They brought tyres to deal with 60 degrees temperature. It must be the surface, which you can probably see later on if we show when Neil Hodgson went out on his track lap. It was breaking up in parts, which we have seen before in Laguna Seca. I remember it was a particular case, and on that instance they patched up the track and it was a real mess. So for safety reasons, clearly they want to get a race away, but then you ask the question, well, is it in fit state to race as Vietti comes through on the inside of Sam Lowe's, just being a bit tentative at the moment? You can't blame him, can you, when conditions are like this?
We spoke to Sam Lowe's in the airport in Jakarta, and this is his approach to the season. Score points. It is a tricky day. We see what happened with Jake. So easy for that front to tuck under if there are spots of rain in the air. Much better to bring home a top 5 position, solid points, thinking about 21 rounds. So I'm happy with to see that from Sam Lowe's, just erring on the side of caution.
On my timing screens, Jake Dixon, it says retired, so it looks like he wasn't able to remount and get back on his bike, which is, I feel, devastating for the lad. Having started from pole, he was fastest after the first day. We weren't talking about Jake being a challenger for the victory. He was many people's favourite for victory today because he was so much quicker than everyone else around here. Remember, they haven't tested out this place, and it was who had the instinct to get to grips with this track, pardon the pun, straight away, and Jake seemed to have it. Unfortunately, it was here that he crashed out a couple of laps ago now, out of second place. Meanwhile, Somkiat Chantra keeps doing the business at the front. The number 35 for Honda Team Asia has only ever finished in the top 5 before. That was in Austria last year. We've seen races where he's been up towards the sharp end, but I don't think ever at this stage have we ever really seen him lead one.
No, we've seen him have pace throughout race weekends, but never like this, never to get to the head of the field and run such a consistent rhythm every single lap. So yeah, definitely the best we've seen from Somkiat Chantra so far in his career. But that Honda Team Asia squad with Ayagura in there, we do rate the team, we rate the how the bikes are set up, and I think they've got 2 quality riders, so nice to see this performance.
It's been a brilliant race so far from Aaron Canet, from 13th on the grid, made a fantastic first lap to get up into 5th place. He is a scrapper, isn't he, Canet? And it's interesting, behind Chantra you've got your podium finishers from the opening round in Qatar, Vietti and Lowe's in 3rd and 4th. So the cream rising to the top in tricky conditions. You know, Chantra is pulling away here. He's got 1.8 seconds now over Canet in 2nd place. Vietti is the fastest rider on track. You can see the white flag with the red cross being waved, but as it stands, they're still racing.
They look like they're pushing, obviously. Still happy to go over the curves, over the white lines. No one looking too tentative, so obviously the cloud burst hasn't quite happened yet, but it's just off-putting when you see those front end twitches.
We thought as soon as rain comes, you'd know about it, because it's probably going to be a flood. Here comes Vietti. He's going to take to the inside. That's brave, isn't it, Michael? He's gone on the really dirty part of the track, and he's going to hold it in on the inside of Canet all the way through from 12 to 13 on the dirty part of the track. That's brave from Vietti, but he makes it stick. He knows he's got the pace and knows that Canet was dropping back from Chantra with 9 laps to go in this race. Actually, when they come to the line, 8 laps to go, halfway through a reduced 16-lap Moto2 event. Chantra's fellow Thai rider, Michael, Kevin Kubo, has crashed out at turn 10. Apologies.
Another turn 10 incident, so yeah, it has been slippy there all weekend, despite the rain. Even offline it is quite dirty, but yeah, I was just going to say, if you want to tough it out with Aaron Canet, you best be prepared to fight. He's always going to hold his own. He will let off the brake, he'll lean in over the top of you, but obviously Celestino Vietti, he's ready to fight this year. Such a mature approach towards his season for who was, for me, one of the most impressive rookies last year, despite Raul Fernandez really outshining everyone.
Jake Dixon has remounted, but he's a couple of laps down, so he's finally got the bike going. As we have a look at Kubo's crash, which is earlier in the corner that Jake Dixon went down. Jake was through. It was like a first tap on the throttle, wasn't it, for Dixon when he went down in that turn 10. That was straight on the brakes there for Kubo. Vietti looks the real deal. We said last year, impressive as a rookie. But when you see Raul Fernandez doing what he's doing, you know, it pales away into the background. But everyone you speak to, Michael, suggests that actually if you go back and look at how testing went, there's only the one official test back in Portimao, but some of the private tests are all together. He steadily got about his business. No headline times here and there, but was just churning out the laps. This was on the cards if you look deep enough.
Yeah, exactly. Sam Lowe said that he looked at the danger men, and after testing it was these 2 guys, Aaron Canet and Celestino Vietti. They had race pace on hard tyres, on long runs. They didn't get the headlines that Pedro Acosta got with that soft tyre in Portimao and breaking lap records, but they went to work and done their due diligence throughout pre-season, and it's paying off now. So Sam obviously decided he doesn't have the pace to fight with them today, and then yeah, that's clever.
What a response from Chantra. seeing his gap dropped, he just ups it to 2.2. He's dropped his lap time by a second, just on the best lap of the race. What a race! This is behind the time. That is absolutely superb. We're on board with Sam Lowe's, who actually himself has closed the gap to Canet in front. He was standing at 2 seconds. It's now down to, it was at 1.7. What's it going to be? 1.9. So it's just gone back out again. So this race not run yet, but I don't know, I think in these kinds of conditions, would a fourth be okay for Sam? I think the new Sam, if there is a new Sam, if we could talk like that, I think that's the sort of thing he'd take.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think it's a more calculated approach to a 21-round championship, and the solid points that Enea Bastianini used to defeat Sam Lowe's to the crown in 2 years ago in 2020, and Sam's adopted that approach to this season. So yeah, that's we've always said it. He needs to do it, just take that edge off, whether it's the injury, the tendonitis that's caused him to approach the season in that manner. But yeah, that's what we need to do.
And a word on Aaron Canet, Michael. Again, we talk about people who look like they've got a massive future in the sport. We've said it about Canet for a long time, actually. Ever since way back in the Australia Galician days, he was in the junior team originally and then progressed into the World Championship. You always knew there was something there, just that he needed to find the right home. Maybe it is the experience constant for him.
Yeah, we always had question mark how consistent the Boscoscuro chassis.
Got a Japanese sponsored Idemitsu team. So, Celestino Vietti there in second place, 2.8 seconds down. That confirmation of Jake Dixon is pulled back into the pits. Oh, heartbreaking. Let's hope that it's again just a little bit of a blip, because he certainly has the pace, and if he can bring one of these home, it's just the start of something special for him. But it's not to be over in Indonesia. Riders file through this beautiful part of the racetrack. Arenas and Acosta in their battle for 9th place. 1.5 laps remaining in the Grand Prix. We're going to get a debut winner, should I say a maiden winner, in Somkiat Chantra, barring any disasters. You can see our experience of Jorge Martinez Aspar. He'll be back. I love the confidence he's shown. He's a joker and a bit of a clown at times, is Jake, but it's, you know what, underneath that, he's a seriously talented racer, as I'm sure many people who've watched him in British Superbike are aware. We've become aware of it here in the Grand Prix Championship, and hopefully he can just put it behind him and fight back next time in Argentina, because he has the pace this year.
Yeah, I believe so. He sounded so confident yesterday ahead of the race, and he did say the only person who could beat him was him himself, and he did make the mistake on the day. So he'd be frustrated, but he'd be back on the bike in 2 weeks' time in Argentina and try and put things right. He seems really at one with the machine this year, really happy inside that Aspar garage, and no doubt he'll bounce back.
And maybe there was frustration in the fact Chantra was leading and pulling away and pushing on, and that, I'm not saying ruffled his feathers, but you know, he thought, well, I've got the pace. Oh, a moment for Chantra. Oh my goodness, my heart in my mouth for him there. Oh, don't throw this away now. You've got 3.2 seconds, and Hiroshi Oyama's having kids in the top left corner of your screen. Oh, I had a moment of panic there for Somkiat Chantra, 23 years of age, from Chonburi in Thailand. It is 51st Grand Prix, his 50th in the Moto2 class. He's only ever had, in those previous 49 races, he's only ever had 7 top 10 finishes, 1 top 5, and he's about to take his first victory in Moto2 with spots of rain still on our camera lenses. He goes into turn 16 for the final time. He can cruise around this tricky corner. Somkiat Chantra for Thailand, the first Thai rider ever to win in Grand Prix racing, and he does it in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia. What a day for Somkiat Chantra. He wins from Chelis.